the thief go to jail when he steals?
Absolutely.
Should a robber pay back the money he robbed?
Absolutely.
So why shouldn't the white man pay for what he did?
That's right.
One day you'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog.
I'm in a hell of a hole, was never expected to grow. Just obstacles set in the road, that a result of me selling my soul. The story I'm telling is cold, but yet it's what everyone knows. The white man's the devil is known. America was never a home, only a place of captivity, safe facility, hating, disfigure me. They claim that I'm lazy, be killing me. Maybe this slavery draining my energy. 400 years and counting. The trail of my tears is countless. The fact that I'm here is astounding, but I can't wait till this shit is surrounded. Ready to tangle my king and the angel, be ready to rap. Crack in the sky, nuclear missiles will make it official. I'm capturing every crack and surviving. Put them all in chains where they need to be. Slavery for me. And let the whole world see that with them in the cage and safer in the streets. Put the dog on a leash. Get resolved for the beast. 144, get the ruler show, we could all be at peace. As soon as the trumpets are sound, your kingdom, we busting it down. The only way justice is found, the time for your judgment is now.
Someday you'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog.
Look, ain't no remorse in my blood slump. It won't be no compromise. Now it's time to feed the worms. Watch his body turn to flies. I clutch iron while you trust the lies. The next Glock I buy gon' be Gen 5. I get it customized. And sending shots off like farewell. Praying payback come back around like a carousel. Still remember your Honda's words ringing in my head like bells. Said you in his body, you fit the Lord, fuck the cartel. Triangle choke, apply pressure to the game like I did Vondale. Payback's a bitch in a dress, she a bombshell. Revenge is dish served cold, I just hope they make an oxtail. Glock fresh out the box, I swear it got that new car smell. Made myself a target in a world of mad shooters. There was design fire for our babies to pass through in the day of our king's reign, not be overzealous. They bought my jealous, I bought brand new parabellums.
Someday you'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog.
everything is lawful. Westworld. The pressure on. I remember bringing nothing home. Make it little just to make it known. Steady, ready, better watch your tone. When I was 5'7", I was breaking. I had to 5'7", now I want the chrome. 9'11", I was in my zone. Use the argument to lose your dome. Who ain't no running up? Damn, now I'm coming up. They coming to kiss me, you dumb or what? You drawing, you done enough. They told me don't rush it, just wait my time. Paying attention, I see the signs. Coming right to me like Amazon. No time for distractions, I'm on the grind. Little shorty, you're sick and she knows she fine. Got a couple of, so never mind. They throwing the shade cause they know I shine. Reason I'm going in overtime. You stuck in your ways, you keep fantasizing. I just go get it, don't think about it. Don't make it an issue, it ain't a problem. Not too much talking, just organizing. One Westward, no way around it. Heavy, so you know I'm grounded. Too sturdy, I'm well rounded. Tunnel vision, I don't see a talent. Get a minute, I'm killing it. Case closed, I don't need a gavel. No, you hate it, don't even matter. New page, still the same time.
But just never forget that I do not. Always have that fresh in your mind. That I feel absolutely nothing for your pain and your problems. Because I know that all of your pain and problems are a test to make you stronger.
I live in a world where we coincide. If you're not ready to stay inside, you're drowning away. Oh, you're gonna ride. You stick to the end, you get glorified. Yeah.
Seeing if you're gonna step up in it, you're gonna run.
You stick to the end, you get glorified. Let's make it official, I'm one of them. One of the greatest is no exempt. It took me a minute to figure it out. I was struggling, and it made a man. I shuffled the deck and I played my hand. Just give me a reason to put them on you. Didn't believe that I had me a vision. Should I believe that you is loyal? We giving up game, they fumbling plays. I'm tired of talking, I'm racked out. Before that we started, they tapped out. I jumped in my duffel and blacked out. What you witnessing is elevation. Boy, roll to my destination. The haters, it's a celebration. And I put that on my reputation. When the fall, this is a demonstration. You're sick and I know they hate it. One Westworld every season. Hot boy, this dedication. I'm giving game, I don't need favors. Go against it, you won't see the danger. You ain't family, you a damn stranger. I'll beat your ass, I don't need a baby. I don't got time for excuses. I'm plotting on making the killer. I'm getting the feeling, they know that I'm coming, I'm running. Let's get to the business. I'm still playing my post. Taking the rim like diesel. Don't run with too many people. I don't feel none of us equal.
And there are some brothers and sisters that know that so much, they would never leave you. They would never abandon you. Since you have to stay alive here, they'll stay alive with you.
I live in a world where we coincide. If you're not ready to stay inside, you're drowning away. Oh, you're gonna ride. You stick to the end, you get glorified. Yeah. You stick to the end, you get glorified.
They're one West.
One Westworld.
Right.
Let's clap it up. All right, Israel. No one's conventional tonight. Shalom, I'm Priest and Officer 1000 Yediah. I'm covering for Priest and Officer 5000 Marah. This is the Lashawan Qadash class. We're going to get to it, but there's some stuff I wanted to go into. It's going to be scripture breakdown tonight, but we're all going to go over the alphabet, go over some Hebrew words, you know what I mean, the scripture too. But it's something I got to bring out, man. Like when we got to understand as Blacks, Latinos, and First Nation men and women, why our identity and culture is important. Because, man, like even the Lashawan Qadash, the holy tongue. First of all, you know what's big in the news right now, Barzal? You got Kanye West. Everybody is up in arms talking about, oh, he's anti-Semitic because he went on Drink Champs and did a couple interviews and said, Black people are Jews also. To correct the brother, Blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians are the only ones that can be Jews. And that's the thing, too, Barzal, like what our people don't understand. That'd be like you and me saying, well, Black people could be Chinese. You see how idiotic that sounds? Because being a Jew is a nationality. It's not something that you could convert to. It's what we were born as. It's our identity. It's our heritage by the lineage of our fathers. That's Numbers chapter 1 and verse 25. And the thing is, as Blacks and Latinos, the oppressor is walking around right now with our identity. They're walking around, butchering our language. Like if I could, young man, Give me Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 9. Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 9. Zephaniah. The book of Zephaniah, chapter 3 and verse 9. And this is what we got to realize. This is why, man, coming into these classes, tuning in online and coming, you know what I mean, in person is so important if you are Black, Latino, or First Nation. Because first of all, man, you're coming to get your culture back. You're coming to get your identity back. Because in the Christian church, you know what? They don't speak Hebrew. They speak in tongues or whatever. I'm about to pass out. That garbage, which is nothing. You out there in the Muslim mosque talking about salami, eggs, and bacon, my brother. I'm Abdul Rahim Suleiman Khaled Ahmed the Magnificent. Why are you selling your brothers and sisters drugs, man? Why are you still living the same evil, wicked lifestyle that we're not supposed to live, man? Islam and Christianity have failed our people because they failed to tell Blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians that the real Jews, the real Israelites of antiquity are Black, the so-called Negro in America, in the West Indian Islands, and Haiti, and that Puerto Rican man and Cuban man and woman, the Latinos out there in Cuba and Puerto Rico, that Mexican man and woman in Mexico, that Guatemalan to, to Panama and El Salvador, the Central Americans, it was the tribe of Zebulon, Argentina to Chile, who is Naphtali, the North American Indian, who are the First Nation, the tribe of Gad, the Seminole Indians, who are the tribe of Reuben, were all born in the Hebrew, man. And then in Colombia and in Bolivia and Brazil, who are the so-called Asher, man. We got to come back. And how could I forget about the Dominicans too, Barzo? Who was Simeon, Shemaiwan in the Hebrew. We're going to go over that a little later. We are the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, Black man, Latino man, First Nation man and woman. And it's time for us to take our culture back. And we're doing that right here in the Isupk under Commanding General Yohanan. We're the only authority of this Bible because the Lord is not with your fake Israelite group that don't even want to read the Hebrew, Barzal. They say the Lord's name does not matter. I'd be like, well, damn. Let me tell you why the Lord's name matters, and his name is Yahweh. We're going to go to the board a little later and get to that. And let me show you why our language is important. Because they teach, we don't have to learn Hebrew. First of all, we speak English right now. English ain't our language. And guess what? English ain't the white man's language neither. English came from the so-called Japhetic people. The so-called Hawaiians and Polynesians, and Samoans. Guess what? That's their language. Spanish, isn't the Latino man's first language. It ain't native to you. That's what the conquistadors spoke, Cortez and them boys. Meaning this, man, we have been colonized, Black man, Latino man, and woman. We are the slaves here in America. You sitting up there, trying to speak broken French, and broken French and English, calling it Creole. But our real language is the Lashawan Qadash, man. Read what you got in Zephaniah, the 3rd chapter, in the 9th verse.
This is the book of Zephaniah, chapter 3, verse 9.
Mm-hmm.
For then will I return to the people a pure language.
I will turn to the people. Man, he's going to turn to Israel. The Lord is going to turn to Blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians a pure language, man. The Lashawan Qadash, the holy tongue. We have a language, and it's the Hebrew. Like the Hebrew comes, like the name comes from Eber, Iboria. And guess what, man? It's ours. It's what Adam spoke. It's what our ancestors spoke. We have a language, man, that is to us and for nobody else. And if you really want to get deep to it, when you speak the Hebrew, which we're going to get to, that Abba, Gada, Hawa, Zaka. When babies are born, what do they say? Abba, Ga. Why? Because Hebrew is that language, man. And it starts with us, Black man, Latino man, First Nation man and woman. It's that pure language that the Lord is going to turn us back to. So for fake Israelites to say, we don't have to worry about the Hebrew, Yediah, is absolutely asinine. Because the Lord felt it important to let us know that we got to turn back, to our language. And it's going to be pure. It ain't going to be that Yiddish, and that Assyrian that the oppressors got, just butchering our language and native tongue. Good night. Talking about Yehuda and Yahweh and Yeshua and all that garbage, man. That ain't Hebrew. But the Lord said, for then I will turn to the people a pure language. Read on.
That they may all call upon the name of the Lord.
They may all call upon the name of the Lord, man. To call upon our God, Yahweh. Read on.
To serve him with one consent.
To serve him with one consent. We ain't going to have no choice but to serve our God at that time. It ain't gonna be no choice. It ain't gonna be, well, I'll have freedom of religion. What the hell is that? And that goes into what I wanted to go into, which is insane, Barzal. You mean to tell me, right? Just observing America. Like, I don't think people really think about this. I thought about this when I was on the train on the way home. Bruce Jenner can identify as a woman, and nobody will bat an eye. Nobody would disagree. Alex, they made him Woman of the Year. They made a man the Woman of the Year. Look it up. I'm not making it up. You're looking at me like I'm crazy. They made Bruce Jenner the man, the Olympian, Barzal. He was on the Wheaties box. Like, goddamn, he was on the Wheaties box with LeBron, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. Goddamn. Bruce Jenner was Woman of the Year. They call him Caitlyn now. And nobody, hold your point, and nobody batted an eye. But as soon as Kanye West, as soon as any other entertainer, like, like the Sean Jackson, that football player, like Nick Cannon, you say that blacks and Latinos are the real Jews, oh, you're called anti-Semitic. It is the most heinous thing. I saw an Amalekite, one devil, say, this is the most disgusting display I've ever seen. For real? That was disgusting. So Bruce Jenner, tucking his rod in a dress and a girdle and putting on a wig and winning Woman of the Year, that wasn't disgusting. But Kanye coming back to an identity that belongs to him, the only thing that he was wrong about, he said black people are also. No, it ain't the also. We are the real Jews. That Latino man is the real Jew. That First Nation man is the real Jew. The so-called Jew who is the oppressor is not a Jew and will never, ever be a Jew. Now, how do I know this? How do we know this? Let's go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 14 and verse 2. Let me show you who the real Jews are and what we look like. Because it's in the Bible. I remember that devil Max Kellerman, he had the nerve to say that black people and this ideology of calling themselves the real Jews is low-class information. How is it low-class information if we got it out of the Torah? How is it low-class information if we read it out the Bible, which is the greatest source this earth has? It ain't low-class information. Because when we come back to our identity and call them out on that, that's their defense mechanism by saying, oh, we're anti-Semitic. First of all, you're anti-Semitic. First of all, it ain't really anti-Semitism because it means to be a Semite means you have to come from the lineage of Shem. You ain't the only ones that came from Shem. You got Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Africans came from so-called Ham. They Hamites. The Japhetic people, the Tongans, Polynesians, and Samoans, they came from Japheth. While the Chinese, the Japanese, the East Indians, you know what I mean, and the black man and woman and the oppressor, we came from Shem. But not everybody was chosen out of Shem. Blacks and Latinos were chosen out of Shem. The North American Indians, Seminole Indians, were chosen out of Shem through Shem, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And listen, we got it in the precept in Romans where it says, in Isaac shall thy seed be called. That disqualifies the Ishmaelites, the Arabs, because they come of Shem also. They come of Abraham also. But guess what? They weren't the chosen out of Abraham. It says, in Isaac shall thy seed be called. Isaac was that begotten son. And it was passed down to his son. And he had two sons, Jacob and Esau. And Jacob is our forefather, Yashar'Allah. Now let me show you who the real Jews are. Read what you got. Jeremiah chapter 14 and verse 2.
This book of Jeremiah chapter 14, verse 2. Judah, mourneth.
Read it again from the top.
Judah mourneth.
The Bible says Judah mourneth, man. Judah in Hebrew is Yahwadah. You know what I mean? Yahwadah in the Hebrew. Judah mourneth. Yahwadah mourneth. Now, the Bible says that the Jews would be in mourning. Let's cross-examine that for a second. What the hell does Amalek have to mourn for? What is Ishar, Esau, the devil that the Bible speaks of, a red dog? What do they have to mourn for? Nothing. But you know who is mourning? That black man and woman in America. That Latino man and woman and First Nation man and woman. We're the ones that are mourning, man. You know all the crime and all the gun violence and all the sexual abuse that's going on here in Philadelphia, man? Blacks and Latinos are suffering all across the earth. Jews are mourning. Do you have a question? Hold your point. Read it again from the top.
Due to motive and the gates therefore languish.
The gates therefore languish, meaning this. Language. A gate is used for protection. What is the protection that we have? The Christian church, the Muslim mosque, they failed our people. They failed. You got to understand, man, like I know everybody love your mama's Christian church. You love that church your auntie and your grandma go to. I know you've been going to the Catholic Church all your life. But understand this. We all grew up poor, blacks and Latinos, right? I thought the priest was supposed to help us. I thought they were supposed to, to be there for Israel. I thought they were supposed to be watchmen, Barzal. They're not. They failed our people. Those gates languish. They have been caught lacking. Imagine buying a gate to keep intruders out and to keep everybody out, and the gates are weak. That's the church. That's the Muslim mosque. I know y'all think the Nation of Islam is just so strong on the front. No, they're not, because they hate blacks and Latinos too. They hate blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians as well. And they let heathens in their organizations. They let Arabs and Chinese and oppressors. Farrakhan is kissing other white men in the mouth. Goes to show you, our gates languish. There is no righteous leadership for blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians outside of the Israelite school of universal practical knowledge, man. It says our gates languish. Read on.
They are black.
They are what?
Brown.
They are. The Jews are black. Black in Hebrew, Qadash. The Jews are Qadash, black unto the ground. Now, when you break the ground up, you see different shades and derivatives, of black and brown, to the sandy Puerto Rican and Issacharite brothers, to the dark-skinned Judite and Levi and Benjamite brothers, man. We come in different shapes, sizes, and complexions. The problem is, man, we have a problem with colorism, too, where we like to look at each other like, oh, you dark-skinned, you light-skinned. It's about who your father is. Because here's the thing. You got some chocolate-covered Edomites out here. Bob Marley, that devil, Tia Mowry, who... it was a Tia or Tamara, the one that's divorcing her husband right now. One of them sisters, right? And their father is a devil. She's a devil. That brother was like, damn, man, I ain't do nothing. I thought we was in love. That brother should count himself fortunate that devil was getting ready to leave him. He should count himself fortunate. And I believe her father's a so-called Jew. So she's of the seed of Amalek, the devil that the Bible speaks of. We got to understand, man, you are the seed of your father. If your father's a black man, you a Jew. Your father's a Latino man, Puerto Rican, Cuban, Mexican, Guatemalan, or Salvadorian, Brazilian, or Argentinian, or Chilean, man, guess what? You a Jew. If your father is a First Nation North American Indian, you a Jew. Or a Seminole Indian, you are a Jew, man. So-called Jew right now, calling himself a Jew, is not a Jew, but the devil that the Bible speaks of, man. This is here in the book. This is in Jeremiah. Black is Qadash, bars up. They not black. They not. They may wear black, and they try it too. They wear them little tassels. They some ugly motherfuckers too. I don't know. Listen, they be shaving their heads up down the middle and everything, molesting their babies. You know what I mean? Sucking on the baby's rods. They do that in that synagogue. The synagogue means chief house, and we're gonna come to that too. The thing is, man, they so up in arms, right, on Kanye. So up in arms, but Kanye is a real Jew. He's a Jew. Noriega was a Jew. Listen, they made him apologize, Barzal. But the other two devils, they said, oh, no, y'all good. Y'all interviews can stay up. Charlemagne's a Jew. I'm not sure what Ebro is. I'm not sure if Ebro is Judah or Ephraim. I'm almost positive he's Ephraim. But either way, he's still an Israelite. So Kanye going to Israelite podcast, they got to shut that down. They got to shut that down. And here's another thing, Kanye. You cannot play both sides of the fence. You can't. You cannot play both sides thinking, oh, in one minute I'm for my people because I didn't get what my white daddy was supposed to give me. And then in the other breath, you're trying to crawl back to your white daddy. You can't do that. You can't do that. And because Kanye went out there and said the truth, man, if you really, and Captain Zariak said this earlier, if you rocking with what Kanye said, you got to take it a step further. Balenciaga cut ties with Kanye, never buy a pair of Balenciagas. First of all, I ain't got the money in Israel to be paying for Balenciagas anyway, Barzal. I ain't balling like that. I ain't balling like that, but we shouldn't be wearing that anyway. Now, I ain't saying it's unlawful. I know some of y'all sneakerheads and like to wear the most expensive stuff, but because Balenciaga said, "Oh, nigga, because you're claiming that you're a Jew, we're gonna cut you off." Are you aware that that is as old as time? That is as old as time, where you can't even call yourself a Jew. And I'm gonna give you the precept. Barzal, can you pass? Matter of fact, Barzal, you can get it for me. Give me a 2 Maccabees, chapter 6 and verse 6. Give me 2 Maccabees, the 6th chapter. And let me get verse 6, Bubba Quashaw.
It's the book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 6 and verse 6.
Go ahead.
Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days.
Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days. Here in America, the oppressor does not want us to keep the Sabbath. You try to keep the Sabbath in America, Esau gonna be looking at you. They're gonna pull you in the office like, why can't you slave on Saturdays? We need you. We're all tied up. They don't want to give you a day off, period. They make it unlawful to keep Sabbath days, but they want us to keep Halloween. They want us to keep Thanksgiving. They want us to keep Christmas and our birthdays, and all of those things are unlawful to our God, man. These heathens came in and told us that we can't keep the Sabbath of the Lord, man. That we can't keep it. That's why if you can get off, man, get off. If you can, do it. Now, as the priests and prophets of the Lord and Isupk, sometimes, you know what I mean, a lot of times we got to profane the Sabbath and go out there and do what we got to do and still go to camp and wake up our people, man. But the oppressor is making it so that we cannot even keep the Sabbath. You try to tell the oppressor, I need off for the Feast of Tabernacles. I need off for the Feast of Unleavened Bread. I need off for the Passover. They look at us and be like, you can't do that. Why do you want to do that? They look at us like, oh, you need more work. You got too much time on your hand. That's something that the Egyptians did, man. And the Greeks and the Romans adopted this philosophy. They made it unlawful for us to keep our Sabbath days, to keep our high holy days, to keep our observances, man. And that ain't the only thing. Read on.
Or ancient fasts.
Or ancient fasts. Can't keep the Day of Atonement neither. Can't keep the Day of Atonement, but they'll respect you. You know what I mean? If you're doing that Ramadan. I remember Barzal, everybody was praising Kyrie Irving. It was like, oh, he's so brave. He's so brave. You know what I mean? For fasting for Ramadan. I know y'all see them silly Muslims out there getting ready to die, and they only do 12 hours. For the Day of Atonement, we do a full 24-hour fast with no food or water, and we don't tell nobody, and you wouldn't even know it because we one West. And guess what? We can't keep them. Listen, we can't keep the ancient feast days neither. The ancient feast of the Lord, Purim, the feast of Hanukkah. They don't want us to keep that. They don't want us to keep our high holy days or our feast days. They don't want us to remember. We got Hanukkah coming up, and we in the book of the Maccabees, man. You know what I mean? When them brothers were strong, man. When them brothers were strong and stood fast, you know what I mean, against the oppressor. And the problem is, man, they do not want us to know. They don't want us to know about what Mattathias and his sons did, man. To fight off the Romans and the Greeks, man. To keep these fasts, to keep these high holy days, and not compromise, to not eat shrimp, crab, pork, or lobster, or condone being a whore or a whoremonger. And they begged Mattathias too, bro. They begged him. Like, man, you a chief leader of your people, man. If you do it, everybody else will do it. And Mattathias said, F that, I ain't with it. My house and my family gonna serve the Lord. And that's what we got to do, man. They don't want us to keep our high holy days. They don't want us to keep our feast days. That's why we remember and honor, you know what I mean, what Mattathias and them brothers did, man, for the Feast of Hanukkah, which is coming up shortly, man. And for what Esther did under her uncle Mordecai in Purim, man. They was getting ready to wipe us out. How about it, Barzal? Just, I might have to go into that as well. I might have to go over on that before we get to the Hebrew, to go into that a little bit. When Mordecai, you know what I mean, came up against, you know what I mean, the king and his orders, you know, that wicked Haman. Haman was an Agadite of the tribe, not Agagite. I mean, he came from Agag, meaning he was an Amalekite. He would have been a so-called Jew, and he was trying to exterminate blacks and Latinos and Native American Indians, man. Because Amalek has always been, Amalek, the so-called Jew, has always been our greatest enemy. Like Esau, Ishar in the Hebrew, man, the outer woman, the devil that the Bible speaks of, has always hated our people and had resentment. That's why they told us, man, we can't keep our feast days. We can't keep the high holy days. They don't want us to know that we are a Jew. Let's go ahead, Barzal. Keep reading.
God. Or to profess himself at all to be a Jew.
To what?
Or to profess himself at all.
You can't even profess at all. You can, listen, you can go out there. You can go out to the world and say, my son is no longer a boy. He's a little girl. You could do what Dwayne Wade did, and they will accept your son being a little girl. But you cannot profess at all. This is what you cannot profess. Go ahead.
God. To be a Jew.
To be a Jew. You can't come out here as a black, a Latino, or Native American and say, no, I'm a real Jew. Why? Because history says so. The Bible says so. God says so, man. That's our identity. That's our culture, man. You can't even profess yourself to being a Jew. Why? Because what happens? You profess yourself to being a Jew. Look, Kanye, Chase Bank cut ties with him, Balenciaga, all these different, different companies and everything. We got to understand, as the Lord's chosen people, man, as the Lord's chosen people, this. They don't want us to know who we really are, because that would terrify the hell out of the oppressor. I pray you have a question. You do?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So how come the oppressor doesn't really want to give us off on the Sabbath and Sunday?
I think we just read it.
Well, yeah, but like, why is there a more deeper reason for it?
Okay. Give me Amos chapter 5 and verse 21.
Amos chapter what?
Amos chapter 5 and verse 21. I'll tell you why. Because here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Barzal, also give me, he knows he has but a short time left.
What chapter?
Amos chapter 5 and verse 21. You got to understand this. They know they don't have much time. They know. They know that. And in that time, they understand that we cannot come back to serving our God, because guess what? Guess what? If we come back to serve our God, we wouldn't celebrate Christmas. We wouldn't celebrate Halloween. If we came back to celebrating our feast days and our high holy days, we wouldn't celebrate Halloween. We wouldn't celebrate Christmas. We wouldn't. That's a problem for the oppressor. You got what I asked for, Barzal?
Yeah, God.
Read it.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 12. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 12 and verse 12.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, rejoice.
Rejoice, black man, Latino man, First Nation man and woman. Rejoice in knowing this. Read.
Ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them.
Mm-hmm.
Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea.
We got it's listen, man. What's heavy about this? Woe meaning destruction. Woe meaning destruction. Destruction to the inhabitants of the earth. Why? Because these other nations have done heinous things to our people. Wanting us to celebrate their holidays, wanting us to celebrate Christmas and Thanksgiving and our birthdays and all this other garbage, forcing, and pushing homosexuality on our people, man. Well, the Lord said this, therefore ye rejoice, ye heavens. Read on.
And ye that dwell in them, woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea.
Mm-hmm. Destruction to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea. Read on.
For the devil is come down unto you.
The devil has come down unto you, man. Devil meaning deceiver. Devil meaning deceiver. And the oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of, man. He's come down unto us. He's always had a hatred for our people that stems back to the very beginning. To the very beginning. When we were in the womb with that oppressor, Jacob and Esau. And they've always been a monstrous bastard. Read on.
Having great wrath.
Having great wrath. That's why they put their knees on our necks. That's why they lock up our Latino brothers in cages at the border. That's why they murder us in cold blood and run up in our cribs and kill us. That's why they getting ready to put fentanyl in the goddamn candy. I was looking at the news today, bars all 6 o'clock. They are putting fentanyl in the goddamn Skittles. You're going to have your kids trick or treat if you want to. The devil having great wrath. Read on.
Because he knoweth that he hath but a short time.
He knows, but he hath but a short time. He knows he has a short time. And that short time, he's trying to take as many stupid blacks and Latinos and Native American Indians out as he can. That's why they push all of that garbage upon our people, man. That's why when the scripture says in 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion walking about, seeking whom he may devour. He's trying to devour you, Latino man. He's trying to devour us, black man, First Nation and Seminole Indian man and woman. Why do you think they push the things that they do? Why do you think they pushed hard against Kanye the way they did? Because they know if we come back to this identity, back to our culture, it is their end. Because then we'll start to keep the commandments. Then we'll start to have faith in our King Yahweh Shah Mashiach. And you're going to start coming up in these classes and Isupk and the Commander General Yohana. That will terrify the hell out of the oppressor. That's why they push division between blacks and Latinos. That's why they push, division between the so-called Latinos and the so-called North American Indians and Seminole Indians, man. Because they don't want us coming back together. He knows he has but a short time. And in that time, he's looking to see who he can devour. That's why they don't want us to celebrate our high holy days. Because as soon as you begin to say, you know what, damn Christmas, I'm preparing for Hanukkah, that's a problem. As soon as you say, damn, you know what I mean, New Year's, I'm going to celebrate Purim. I'm gonna acknowledge and celebrate the Sabbath. I'm gonna celebrate the Passover. That's how you know that the oppressor's world is coming to an end. Precept, 2 Ezra 6 and 9. For Esau is the end of the world. The oppressor is the end of the world. Where Jacob is the beginning of what cometh after. Our world, our age of society, because that's what world means, is going to never end. And they know in this short time, they can't have us serving our God. They can't. I'll get you one better. Arzal, you drop that. Give me Judah chapter 5 and verse 20. And then I'm going to come to your precept. This is something that these other nations know. They know something that we don't know as blacks and Latinos. And I'm going to tell you what the inside joke is. They figured us out. What do I mean when I say that they figured us out? These other, go ahead.
They found that we're the real Jews.
Yeah, they've been knew that. They've been knew that. But it's something more important that they know. Like these other nations know that we don't know. And it's going to directly answer your question even further, even deeper. You got what I asked for, Barzal, Judah chapter 5 and verse 20? Let's go.
It's the book of Judah, chapter 5 and verse 20. Now therefore, my Lord and my governor, if there be any error against this people.
Listen, man, these heathens said this. If there be any error in these people, meaning if it be any fault, meaning if blacks and Latinos had a particular weakness, it would be this. And right now, these are Africans. These are Moabites. These is the oppressors. This is the Ishmaelites. These are the other nations, man. This is what the other nations had to say. They said, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error in these Israelites, in these Latinos, Native American Indians, and black people, read on.
And they sinned against their God.
And they what?
And they sinned against their God.
These other nations not only know that we're the children of Israel, that we're the true Jews of antiquity. They know that if we sin against our God, read on.
Let us consider that this shall be their ruin.
This shall be our what?
Ruin.
It said if they sin against their God, they sat down there in a council. Man, listen, man. When General Hodge used to break this down to me when I was a young man and I was a trooper in class on the Sabbath service. We don't tell you to read, man, the Bible for no reason. Like to read about what happened in the so-called Old Testament. If you read in Psalms 81st chapter, man, you know what I mean? Psalms 81 was heaven. when it talks about how they had a tumult, and they were confederate against us. They had a council. These other nations sat down, got together. The white man, the African, the Asians, the East Indians, you know what I mean? The Samoans and Tongans, the Polynesians, and the East Indians, they got together and had a council and said, how can we get them to sin? Because they know if we sin against our God, it would be our ruin. It would be disastrous for us. And it goes something like this. Well, you know, all we got to do is somehow get them to eat pork. Let's tell them it's the other white meat. We got to get them to eat crab and lobster. Let's tell them that it's a delicacy. We gotta get them integrated in the alternative lifestyle, homosexuality. Do I need to go on? And that's been our ruin. Celebrating Halloween has been our ruin. Celebrating our birthdays has been our ruin. Being a homosexual, eating pork, crab, and lobster has been our ruin because we wanted to follow after these nations. Meanwhile, they a step ahead. They like, listen, we get them to sin against their God because nothing else would work, and they knew it. They knew that if our God was with us and we was keeping the commandments, that they stood no chance. And they know that right now. You know what happens when you start keeping the Sabbath, when you keep the Passover, when you start keeping the Feast of Tabernacles and turn back to our God, it's the ruin for these other nations. And they know it. And why would they want ruin for themselves when they could prosper and have us being ruined because we turn against our God? That's how you know God does not love everybody. That goes to show you that God only loves niggas and Latinos and Native American Indians. Let me tell you something. Our God is our Father, man. Listen, man, the scriptures say in Deuteronomy 6:4, man, Shema Yasha Allah Yahweh Allahayanawa Yahweh Ka, which means our God is one God, Black man, Latino man, First Nation man and woman, and he's only our God. Imagine you getting picked on by the other nations. You getting picked on the block. You know what I mean? And the older kids and some other grown man come and knock you down and you say, I'm going to go get my dad. Your dad come outside and whoop everybody's ass. That's our God. That nobody can touch, that nobody can beat. But the only thing that can stop us is if we essentially stop ourselves and disobey our God. That's why these other nations said that it would be our ruin. Now, listen to what else they said. Go ahead, Barzal, keep going, because there's more.
And let us go up, and we shall overcome them.
And we shall overcome them. They said, let us now go up. Now we're going to overcome these niggas. We're going to overcome these Latinos, man. And this is what I want you to understand. How heavy this is. Now that they know that we sinned against our God, now they knew they had a chance. Let me further explain to you, give you a little history on this Friday night class, how heavy this is. The oppressors struggled with the North American Indian and Seminole Indian and Mexican man and woman. You better understand what I'm getting ready to bring down. They struggled. Gad, Reuben, Issachar, Judah, we didn't just roll over. We fought. Why do you think they named their helicopters and their weapons after the Seminole Indians and North American Indians? Why do you think they remember the Alamo? Why do you think they're terrified and send them census papers out, Barzal, and ask if it's any First Nation men or women living in the house? Because that's how scared the oppressor is of our people, especially of us coming together. Like during the Gullah Wars, man, where Judah, Levi, and Reuben, and Gad, and Issachar was fighting against the French and against the Spanish, that terrified them. But would have ultimately led to their demise if we'd have been serving our God. That's why the Lord had to send his prophets back in 69. And we bringing Israel back, man, under Commander General Yohanan. We doing what Christ told us to do. We doing what the Most High told us to do. That's why they don't want us to keep these Sabbath days. That's why they don't want us to keep these high holy days, these feast days, or, you know what I mean, to come back to our identity. That's why it is important to further understand why these different holidays are so evil and wicked. And I'm going to give you one precept on that. Give me Amos chapter 5 and verse 21.
It's the book of Amos, chapter 5, verse 25.
21.
20.
Go ahead.
Look at Amos, chapter 5, verse 21.
Go ahead.
I hate.
The Lord said, I hate. The Lord said, I hate. For you simple Christians out there, for you simple Christians that say God loves everybody, the Lord said, I hate. Like, you can't take that out of context, Barzo. That's God speaking. He said, I hate. I despise what? Read.
I despise your feast days.
The Lord said, I would despise your feast days, your Halloween, your Thanksgiving, your Christmas, your New Year's. Because the Lord ain't with those things, man. The Lord is with the Passover, man, the Sabbath, the Feast of First Fruits, the Feast of Unleavened Bread. You know what I mean? Hanukkah, Purim. You know what I mean? The Feast of Tabernacles, the memorial of the blowing of the trumpets, man. That is what the Lord acknowledges, man. He don't acknowledge your Christmas or your Halloween or your Thanksgiving. And he for damn sure don't acknowledge the oppressor being a Jew. He for damn sure don't acknowledge that. But you're going to send your kids out on Halloween. You're going to buy them Balenciagas for your kids and your rib and yourself, huh? But you got to realize, man, as Blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, we got to do what the Lord said in Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 1. And that's gather ourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation, not desired. Because as Blacks and Latinos, we are not desired in America. We ain't desired nowhere. We're not. You think Isupk is ruling in Mexico? The conquistador is ruling. A white man is ruling. That's why they're suffering right now. Why do you think Haiti is in peril, man? Because France, you know what I mean, owes Haiti billions of dollars, man. And what America and these oppressors have done to our brothers and sisters of the tribe of Levi. And you can forget about what that whore of a queen that they had over there in the West, that they had over there in England, Barzo. Everybody mourning that whore, man, sending her gifts and flowers. You know what I mean? I wish they unwrapped my gift. I sent her a gift too, Barzo. I sent her a goddamn shovel. I sent her a damn shovel. Salakia. Understand that. All the sanctions that they put on the tribe of Benjamin, man, where they can't import. You know what I mean? All the bananas and the fruits, they used to come from Benjamin out there in the West Indian Islands. They used to come from Haiti. They used to come out of Cuba. You know why they don't now? Because the oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. El hombre blanco es el diablo. That's what we have to realize, man. Now, am I anti-Semitic for that? That whore of a queen is anti-Semitic. Goldberg is anti-Semitic. Heisenberg is anti-Semitic. Black people, Black man, Latino man, First Nation man and woman, stop falling for that okie doke. That don't work against us. That don't work. You know what real anti-Semitism is? A black man killing another black man. A Latino man killing another Latino man. A First Nation man killing another First Nation man. That's black on black crime, Latino on Latino crime. What we doing to Isupk, what Isupk is doing to Judah, we got to cut that out, man. We got to cut that division out. That's why we got to come back and love one another like Christ said, man, and love thy brother. Now, let me give you two more. We're going to go to the board. Give me, young man Alex, give me Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9. Revelations 2 and 9. Yeah. This is what we got to realize, man. So-called Jew that call himself a Jew, he ain't a Jew. He's not. And I have to bring that. I got to break this down before I get into this Hebrew and go to this chalkboard, go to this whiteboard. Because this is what we got to understand, and our people don't. The oppressor is walking around with our identity. Like, damn. Like, I thought identity theft was not only a crime, a felony. It is. It's a felony, man. Like, you can't steal another man's identity and you're not, you know what I mean, get charged for it. But the so-called Jew is walking around with my identity, walking around with your identity, Barzo. Alex, they walking around with your identity as well. And you see it. And the oppressor is allowed to do it. Like the precept Barzo pulled, man. We can't profess ourselves to be a Jew, but Brad Pitt can be the Mexican. Salakia. The oppressor could be Christ, huh? Well, Christ was a black man from the tribe of Judah. Good night. Like Paul Mooney said, man, they're going to make that movie. Last nigga on earth is going to star Tom Hanks and Sandra Bullock. I'm trying to tell you. We can't profess ourselves to be Jews, but we're real Jews, black man, Latino man, First Nation man and woman. Let me show you who's not a Jew. Read Revelations, the 2nd chapter and the 9th verse.
Have some
Kind of, those sweat bars all get his brother a Bible. You about to go real old school with it. Give him the Apocrypha too. No sweat. But the dude we used to do when we ain't had these smartphones, didn't have the technology. Let me tell you, they don't get no old school than this. You cannot, and this was so heavy, man. This right here holds our records, our identity. This right here. This right here. And what Officer Marah was breaking down to you, a week or two ago, this was taken out. Why do you think they took this Apocrypha out? I'm going to tell you why. Too much truth. It holds the records, man. This is biblical canon. They like to say it's not canon, but it is canon. It is. That's because when it was written, man, it was the 1611 King James Bible. When it was translated, the Apocrypha was in it. The conquistador, the oppressors, in the Catholic Church and the Pope, they took it out. Because precepts like 2 Ezra chapter 6 and verse 56, it says, as for the other people that come out of Adam, that thou hast said, the Lord said that they are nothing, but be like unto spittle. You can't push God loves everybody, that Christ is white and God is white, with scriptures like that. You can't. They're trying to fit and change the narrative. But this is facts, man. Facts is that Black, Latino, and First Nation man and woman, we're the real Jews of antiquity. Right. It's time for us to come back to our identity and our culture, which is right here in this Bible. I pray you understand. Which is high class information, by the way. Read what you got. Revelations chapter 2 and verse 9. Stay with me. Stay with me. Revelations, the 2nd chapter and the 9th verse. And if you are a young brother coming up in this truth, if you are a young sister, man, I really applaud all of y'all, man, because I know how hard it is to come up in this truth and to shed yourself of the world and to change. That's why I encourage you all, man, to come to class. If you can't tune in online, but when you come to class, man, the only way you're going to battle and combat these demons when you're feeling depressed or got anxiety, all of that is demons, is by coming into this truth, man, and coming to these classes so we can jump whatever demon you got. Because they're not going to prosper in here. And always remember, man, the scripture says this, be slow to speak, you know what I mean, and more keen to hear. That's in James, the 1st chapter, in the 8th and 9th verse. Be slow to speak, keen to hear. That's what you're here for, man. You're here to learn. You ain't here to teach nobody. You ain't going to teach us nothing. I know. I was a young man that thought I knew everything too. And then I realized I didn't know nothing at all. Pray you understand. Read what you got. Revelations, the 2nd chapter and the 9th verse. Last book in the Bible.
This is the book of Revelation.
Chapter 2 and verse 9. Stay with me.
This is Revelation.
Book of Revelations, chapter 2 and verse 9.
It's so hard to find it.
Give him a hand, Barzo. Book of Revelations, chapter 2 and verse 9. It's 12. You good?
Book of Revelation, chapter 2, verse 9.
Go ahead.
I know thee works.
I know thy works. Christ is saying, I know thy works. I know thy works. First of all, we getting work right now, Israel. We getting worked. The real priests and prophets of the Lord is working night and day, man, bringing this truth out in the Isupk. Read on.
And tribulation.
And tribulation. We the ones going through tribulation. So-called Jew ain't going through tribulation. He don't know what tribulation is. He does not. He don't know what's going on. Keep going.
And poverty.
And poverty. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty. Is the so-called Jew in poverty? Hell no. Diamond District, owning the music industry, owning Hollywood, ages all in the NBA and the NFL and the MLB up the backs of blacks and Latinos. He don't know what poverty is. He don't. Christ said, I know thy works and tribulation. We're going through tribulation, man. We the ones suffering trying to get out of Mexico, to skip the so-called American dream just to be met with AR-15s, to where they take our babies, man, and put them in cages, sleeping on concrete floors where goddamn sheets of aluminum foil and foil are goddamn covers, drinking out the toilet. The white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of. Explain something, man. They don't know what real tribulation is. That black man and woman in Haiti is going through real tribulation. That West Indian brother and sister is going through real tribulation. That Negro in America, that Latino man in America, that Puerto Rican and Cuban brother is going through real tribulation. That's why Christ said, I know thy works and tribulation. Read on.
But thou art rich.
Thou art rich. We rich, man. We rich black man, Latino man, and woman. Why? Because we have the oracles of God. You should see the reservations. The reservations, man, that our brothers and sisters of the tribe of Gad and the tribe of Reuben live on, man. It is insane. Like, you want to talk about inflation in the hood right now and in the barrio? Inflation in the reservation is that much worse. Big shout out, man, to the Isupk Reds, man. When I was in Monterey, I was with Qadash, man, doing big work, man. Doing big things, man, building up the Reds, man. Because we commanded General Yohana and Isupk. We ain't forget about the Reds. We ain't forget about the Seminole Indian and North American Indian, man. Goddamn, a gallon of milk is almost $20 over there in the goddamn concentration camp called a reservation. And they, in the so-called Jew, the white man that's going through tribulation, he's not. That First Nation man and woman knows what tribulation is. That Seminole Indian knows what tribulation is. That's how you know who the real Jews are. But we rich. We were given the oracles of God. We was given this truth back, man, in 1969 under Commander General Yohana, the Isupk. Read on.
And I know the blasphemy of them which.
The blasphemy. This, like, blasphemous is something I know you hear your mama and your auntie and grandma say in church, your pastor, but this is what's really blasphemous. This is what's really heinous and disrespectful to God. And I'm going to show it to you. Read.
Say they are Jews.
Them that say they are Jews. Those that say they are Jews, read on.
And are not.
And are not. It says, I know thy works in thy tribulation and not in poverty. Thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them that say they are Jews and are not. Who's saying that they are a Jew and it's not? The so-called Jew. Amalek, the oppressor. They're calling themselves Jews, but they are not Jews. But they are. Read on.
But are the synagogue of Satan.
Synagogue meaning chief house. They are the chief house of Satan. That's who they are. The chief house. They gather in synagogues to this day. They do. And Amalek has always been cowards, man. Before I get to the book, can I get one more? Barzal, give me Deuteronomy, right? I want to get one more before we get to this book. We're going to get to. Barzal, give me Deuteronomy, right? Give me Deuteronomy chapter 25. And I want to say it's verse 18. I want to say 18. It's going to talk about what Amalek, when the Lord said, remember what Amalek did. It's going to be Deuteronomy. I'm going to go there with you. Deuteronomy 25 and verse 17. Let me get that real quick. Let me show you why we got to always watch out for the so-called Jew, man, and how shiesty they are. First of all, most of them are the landlords in New York City. And even out here, they own all these businesses and all these leases, and they building up on the inflation. You know what I mean? Hold your point. They building up, you know what I mean, trying to evict blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, man. Because they are the devil that the Bible speaks of. And they have always been a thorn in our side. They've always been the enemy of Israel. Go ahead, Barzal, read what you got. Deuteronomy 25 and verse 17.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 25, verse 17. Remember what Amalek did.
The Lord said, remember what Amalek did, man. You know what the so-called Jew did? I want you to remember something. I want you to remember when you see them. You got to understand the history too. The Lord did not forget what they did because what they did was so evil and so heinous and so cowardly. The Lord had to tell us, man, remember what Amalek did. Read on.
Come God.
Unto thee. To what?
Remember what Amalek did unto thee by the way. When ye were come forth out of Egypt.
When ye would come forth out of Egypt, man. When we came out of Egypt, right? Amalek came up against us. They attacked us when we got out of Egypt. When we was in the wilderness trying to get in our land, man. Esau came up to do battle against us. And you know, Israel, we was like, no sweat. All them strong Judites and Issacharite brothers out there and Ephraim. Oh boy, it was like, okay, Amalek, you want some of this? I got you. But let me show you how cowardly the so-called oppressor is that calls himself a Jew. Because Amalek is a son of Esau, Ishar, the devil that the Bible speaks of. Amalek in the Hebrew. Read on.
How he met thee by the way.
He met us by the way. Read on. I mean, he came to come see us and snuck up on us. He creeped up on us, man. You know that song the car and them did, man? Damn, y'all in not. Who's that creeping out my window? Or that song that cell therapy did, you know what I mean? Who's that creeping through my window? That's the oppressor. Esau coming. Read on.
God. And smote the headmost of thee.
He smote the headmost of thee. He attacked us from the rear, from behind. But the problem is all the mighty and strong warriors, they wasn't behind. You know who was at behind? You know who was usually at the back? The ones that needed protection. The ones that couldn't really defend themselves. Read on.
Even all that were feeble behind thee.
All that were feeble behind thee, man. They attacked the elderly of our people, man. They attacked grandpa. They attacked abuela. They attacked the babies. That should show you the type of coward that the so-called Jew is, man. They attacked the elderly amongst our people, man. And they've always been cowards. Why do you think that oppressor went to that top supermarket in upstate New York? Because it was older blacks and Latinos in that store, man. They couldn't defend themselves. And Amalek, the so-called Jew, the oppressor, has always been like that. He didn't come and take on Barzal. He ain't want none of Zarwai. I bad hayah, damn, y'all are my God. He said, no, I'll attack their mothers. I'll attack their fathers and grandmothers and grandfathers. I'll attack their babies because they've always been cowards. And the Lord told us to never forget this. Read on.
When thou wast faint and weary, and he slept, and he feared not God.
He feared not God, man. He didn't fear the Most High. He didn't. He didn't. Because if he did, he wouldn't have did that. But the Lord said, no sweat. That's why we ain't going to go into it, you know what I mean, for times. Like I'll go into it next time I teach, Lord willing, man. That's why with Agag shouldn't even have been, with Saul and Agag, Saul should have killed Agag, man, and all the Amalekites. That's why Saul lost the kingdom. The Lord told Samuel, go tell Saul to go get rid of Amalek. Go get rid of Agag. And because Saul didn't do it, and the descendant of Agag, you know what I mean, Haman was able to rise up and try to exterminate us, man. That's why the Lord had to raise up Mordecai, and Mordecai had to raise up Esther. You know, we're going to go into that when the Feast of Purim comes, you know what I mean, closer. But never forget what Amalek did, man. Never forget what type of coward we are dealing with this oppressor, because the Lord did. The Lord did. I pray you understand. And with that, Barzal, let's turn the camera. Let's get up here to the board. Let's get up here to the whiteboard. Bubba, push up. Now we're gonna go over some people. Let's get up over here. Let's get up. Put this over here on the board. You see what this looks like? Bear with me. How I'm looking for it, though. Lift it up a little bit. Top part of the camera. Perfect. That's perfect. Now, black man, Latino man, First Nation man and woman. I'm gonna get to some Hebrew. Now, man, a little introduction. We'll go over the alphabet. We'll throw some Hebrew words up here, man. And what is important, right? But we got to realize that's the Lord's chosen people, man. This is our language. This is something that the Lord gave our people that nobody can take from us, man. Oh, Salah. It's a tradition, man. Everybody want to participate in the class that we do. You know what I mean? The alphabet, I'll start. You know what I mean? Lashawan, Qadash, Abba, How Tayaka, Lamanasa, I, Pataza, Karasha, That's the holy tongue, the Lashawan, Qadash. You know what I mean? It's up here on the board. Barzal, you want to recite your alphabet?
Hosanna, Wabasha. God.
Hosanna Christ, man. That brother a hand. That brother a hand, man. Alice, get up here. Get up here. Little camera shot, but it's all right. Young man, Alice, I know you probably don't know, but you can look, you know what I mean, on the chart right here. We got the Hebrew alphabet. Young man, Alice is going to recite, you know what I mean, the Hebrew alphabet. You know what I mean? The Hebrew alphabet is from right to left. Goes to show you, too, that the oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of, and they shape how to pull the precept left and right. Give me the precept, boys. I believe it's in Daniel chapter 7 and verse 25. Let me get there with you. I believe it's Daniel chapter 7 and verse 25. Because this is what's so heavy about this. Gotta bear with me here, brother. You know I like to pull my precepts. Gotcha. But the goal to show you why the oppressor is such the devil. Yeah, give me Daniel chapter 7 and verse 25. The oppressor also checked these things, man. They turn things upside down. Hebrew is from right to left. The oppressor says right from left to right. Goes to show you that they are the devil that the Bible speaks of. Before we get that precept, don't make out don't say it's out of it. From right to left. What's that right? Look at your brother hand. Your brother is coming to class, man, and taking his identity back, man. Taking his identity back. And as you can see, man, as the Lord, you can see it too, boy. But we got to realize, man, what's so important about it, this belongs to us. This ain't for everybody. This is for blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, man, coming back into this truth and taking our identity back. Now, if I get that one precept, boys, like this on the book. That's what each character.
It's the book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 25. And he shall speak great words.
He shall speak great words, man. Know what that he shall speak great words is? I'll tell you. The oppressor speaking great words is this. The great words the oppressor is speaking is saying, listen, black man, Latino man, First Nation, man and woman, pork is an alternative lifestyle. Homosexuality is an alternative lifestyle. Pork is the other white meat. They speaking great words against the Most High. Like, can you imagine? The Lord telling us, you know what I mean, homosexuality is wrong and abomination. The oppressor says it's an alternative way of living. You wonder why monkeypox is here. Good night. That's a rough on that. Listen, I'll tell you what else is rough. You're going to Jeffrey Dahmer's house on Halloween. That's rough. God damn. That's a rough. Listen, man, and he shall speak great words against the Most High. Go ahead, keep going.
God. And shall wear out the saints of the Most High.
Read that last part again.
And shall wear out the saints of the Most High.
The oppressor is wearing us out. Wearing us out. You know why? This is hard. We don't encourage every brother to come up and listen, man, it's important for you to come back into ISUPK. You don't got to put that all black on your brother. You don't have to aspire to be a trooper. You don't have to aspire to be an officer. I'll tell you why. You don't have to aspire to go through Hebrew Academy. Let me tell you why. They wear us out. It is a hard job being a priest of the Lord, man. They wear out the saints. The priest of probably, we are the saints of the Most High. They wear us out each and every day here in America. Like, good night. We are in a society, right, where they tell us that men like LeBron is a bad father. LeVar Ball is a bad father. But Dwayne Wade is? And we got to explain why Dwayne Wade not wanting his son to be a little girl, yes, his son to be a little girl is bad. They are wearing out the saints of the Most High. Wearing us out. Read on.
God. And they shall, and think to change times and laws.
They change times and laws, man. Change times and laws. How do they change times and laws? I'll tell you. They tell us that New Year's, right, is January 1st. When the real New Year is the time of Passover, the month of Abib. They change times and laws. It's unlawful to be a homosexual according to God, but to the oppressor, it's completely lawful. That's why they legalize gay marriage. It's unlawful to eat that pork, crab, and lobster, but it's completely lawful in America. They changed times and laws. Read on.
God. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and dividing of time.
And the dividing of time from time to time. We're in that time right now, man. It was given, you know what I mean, to this oppression because we was with it. But now, man, Barak can tell you how long y'all shy. If the Lord said his prophets back in 1969, Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, man. Now we can come back and get our identity back. Now, you know, we're so used to right and the left and right. Now we're going back to this Hebrew to this right to left. You know what I mean? And here's the thing, too, we got to realize that the Lord shows the people, which is really heavy, man. Which is real heavy. You write it a little bit bigger. You write it a little bit bigger. I said, slide it from my hand, right? Make it a little bigger. It's a lot here. There we go. Now, as you can see, right? See how y'all can see that? Now, these are the first letters. Ah, Ba, God. Now, as you can see, right, there are some similarities. If you look at the looks like this, right? What does it look like? Looks like a sideways A, right? Because they took our language, stole it, butchered it, messed it up. Some characters are going to look very similar to certain alphabets, more commonly, you know what I mean, the Greek and the Roman, you know what I mean, the French. But this is that Hebrew, man, that Abba, God. I'll put the dot here too. This right here, this is our language. This is what we have. And this right here is the ancient Hebrew. This is what Adam spoke. This is what Adam, you know what I mean, was using, man. And what we have to realize as the Lord's chosen people, this is what we got to come back to. This is what we got to come back to. Because it's our language. This is ours, man. It don't belong to nobody else. And what's just so heavy about it, you'll be surprised, right, on how fast it can come to you. It's a lot. It comes in. It's our language, man. See if I can make this a little bit bigger. Got some slapping to my hand right in Israel. Bear with me. Cotton. You know, did you see this? Now, that's the ha, the wa, the za. The ha, the ta, and the ya. These are the first 10 characters. I'll give y'all a second to get that. Go ahead.
So how can you write your name in Hebrew?
I'll show you. Get to that in a second. I'll get to that in 1 second. This right here is the ah, the ba, the ga. The ha, the wa, the za, the ha, the ta, and the ya. Now, the brother had a good question. I write your name in Hebrew. I'll give you, for example, my name. My name in Hebrew is Yadai. So left. And 1 second. Any other markers, Marzo? You'll notice, right, in Israel, we have something called connectors. Now, my name is Yediah, which includes the Yah, the Da, the Ah. You know what I mean? Another Yah and the Ha. Now, the Yah is singular. It's by itself. Now, the Da and the Ah is connected. That's why you have the connectors here. Like the little smiley face, that's connecting that. While the Yah is singular. And now the Yah at the end is also connected. So you have my name, Yediah. And my name means honor the Lord or honor the Most High. But why? Let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay, now we're cooking with grease, Marlo. Now we're cooking with grease. Yeah, that's a little clear. That's the Salaki Israel. Mark is a little fake. There we go. So everybody can see. I've asked a good question. So the Yah is singular. The Da and the Ah is connected. And the Yah is connected. I'll even write it in the series. You know, I hate the series. You know what I mean? And the oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. Goddamn devil. This is my name in the Assyrian, which we call modern day Hebrew, which is garbage. And then I'll write it in English one more time. And I'll give you another demonstration. Barzo, you want to write your name? You want me to do it? Right. All right, we'll sweat. We'll sweat. You mind? And you got your dot. That's how you write it in the ancient, the Assyrian, and the English. That's singular, that's together, and that's together. And you got Barzo with Ka. The Barzal's name means iron spirit. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. Okay. Right in the shirt. There we go. This is my method, how I remember. Not right, you'll learn, you know what I mean? You'll have your own method.
It's like shit.
Good.
Stuff in the car.
Oh, this? Oh, it's like, I forgot the watch. It's a lot. The watch, that's why I said, this is what we write the name, I'll be good. I'm good. I'm good. Listen, I got to say, I'm a little rusty, but guess what? That's why I wrote it down like that first. You know what I mean? You never know. Now, blacks, Latinos, Native American Indians, man, it's important to understand our language is important. Mm-hmm.
That's it. Barzal, Rashaka.
Go ahead, you got it. Correct. Here we go. Go ahead. Hey, Barzo. I know I got Barzo. Barzal's handwriting is a lot more fluid than elevate their minds. Having to see. Oh, that's right. I put the shots at the watch. Light. Oh, most of Christ. Now that's bars all recovered. And his name means, like for my atrocious language, Iron Spirit. Brother name means Iron Spirit. What he's having is our body's spirit, so he told in his goddamn language. Typically, right, what your name is in Hebrew is what you want to grow into. It's not who you are when you first get it, it's who you're aspiring to be. So he had aspired to become Iron Spirit, and now he for sure is an Iron Spirit. You know what I mean? Like my name means honor the Lord. I spend every day to make sure that, never forget, I'll tell you what a wise man will show me. Never forget why you came to the truth. And typically, you know what I mean, the name can symbolize, you know what I mean, whatever story, whatever background you have coming in. Choosing, like mine was to choose the Most High over everything else, over everything that was out in the world, to honor the Lord. And for that to be my name, honor the Lord, honor the Most High, it's heavy. And why it's important, man, is Blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, man, to come back into this truth and to come back and get our identity back. And why it's important, man, to have the Lashawan Qadash, to have the holy tongue. We'll write the whole alphabet on the board. We're going to get into some words. Bear with me 1 second. And also, too, make sure, you know what I mean, you're looking at this alphabet, that you know what I mean, that you practice it every day. You will lose it if you do not practice it. You will lose it, trust me. Bear with me. So, took me a minute. All right. Now, the Blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians here. That's the ancient alphabet. That's it. The Abba, Hawa, Ka, Tayika, Lamanasa, I, Pataza, Kwara, Shefa. Now, I'll write each character under it in English. We got the A, the Ba, the Ga, the Da, Ha, Wa, Za, Ka, Ta, God. Now you'll notice with the ka, right? With the ka, this ka and this ka are different. This ka is pronounced ha, ha, like the hawk, ha. And this is ka. Bear with me. Avagada Hawazaka, Tayaka, Lamanasa, I, Pa, Taza, Karashatha. That's the English letters for this ancient Hebrew. Black man, Latino man, First Nation man. We'll give you a second to get that. We'll go into some words. Bear with me 1 second. Look to see if any questions online. I know y'all was in here making fun of my handwriting. I know y'all was in there like, look at your dying crazy handwriting, man. Let me can't you remember bars all the call's name. I should. Let's go. At the time, you know what I mean? I was sitting up here as a young man on some Iraq class, and Barzal was still sitting in the same chair sitting in there. Jamal. In the cut. But in the classes, he had to cut it, and he had me at the board looking crazy. Like how you like it. But listen, I kid, of course. Now, well, I wasn't kidding. I was up there looking crazy. I go back and look at some of the old Lashawan for God's classes. Guy invited the boy writing, his handwriting was better than mine. Boys, all over the day. I'm sitting there with the book looking crazy. Listen, man. The important thing to understand, man, especially with these classes, you gotta make sure y'all tune in to Officer Morales on 5,000 every week because he is the Hebrew scholar. He for sure is the Hebrew scholar, man. It's important for all of us to come back, remember this alphabet, remember this language, man, and remember, man. Right. We all one body in here, man. We all got different officers. You got brothers that really excel at this Hebrew thing. Let me tell you something, man. We knew like Badayah was going to be a Hebrew scholar the day he walked in here. When that brother became an officer, he was already a master teacher. Understand this, man, but what is important, right? It's important to come back and get it because this belongs to us now. Let's get the Lord's name. The Lord's name is Yahweh. I'll pick that up. There we go. Oh my God. All right. The Lord's name is Yahweh. Now, it's only a few instances you're allowed to use the Lord's name. Unless you pray, prophesying, you know what I mean, or teaching like I'm doing now. You're not supposed to. So, you damn fake Israelites out there, putting the Lord's name on t-shirts is a heinous thing to do. It's an evil thing to do. First of all, these heathens, you know what I mean? Like Barzal, it's really, like to me, it's only one circumstance they allowed to know the Lord's name. And that's when we are overcoming them like how we did in the old days. Like, you gotta remember, man, like in the Psalms 81st chapter, it says, let it be known, man. Like our Lord did. Otherwise, out of that, these heathens shouldn't even know what the Lord's name is. You put this, you put the Lord's name with the characters, allow them to sound it out. They're not supposed to know that. They're not supposed to. And this is our God, man. Yahweh in the Hebrew, man. And first of all, what is so important about it, we need to understand, as Blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, you ain't gonna learn that in the church. You're not. Go in the church and ask them what the Lord's name is. They're gonna say, Yahuwah, Jehovah. Go ahead, bro.
I am that I am.
I am that I am that I am. Start making up stuff. The ancient one, this, that, the third. I mean, goddamn. You know what I mean? Here's another thing too, right? Like the Muslims do. They say, well, his name is Allah. Go to show you what they know. That ain't the name of the Lord, man. The Lord's name is Yahweh. Yahweh. I pray you understand. I'll even write it for me in Syrian. Hate writing me in Syrian, but for teaching purposes, I will. Ooh. That's the Lord's name in the Assyrian, and I put the dots to show that that's singular, and that's connected. Y'all second to get that? Oh. Now, these fake Israelites talking about I am that I am. Yahuwah. Good, good question?
I don't know when the oppressor says it, maybe these butchers it says it wrong.
That's a good thing. I don't know if your person knows what my God's name is. It's gonna come a time when he will know. But right now, he don't need to know. He don't need to know. You wanna know why? Because the Lord don't know him. The Lord don't know these other nations, man. He only knows us. And it's important for us to understand, man. Unless you praying, prophesying, and teaching, surely shouldn't be saying the Lord's name. No. Like the Lord's name, you know how Israel is quick to say, Barzal, keep my name out your mouth. Watch your mouth. The Lord is the same way. Be careful. Be careful, man. You know what I mean? Our God ain't nothing to play with. Like Christ even said, you can say, Christ said, you can say whatever you want about these brothers, about me. But when you blaspheme the Holy Spirit, you blaspheme the Most High. That's a whole different ball game. You playing with your life, Russian roulette with a fully loaded gun, it ain't going to jam. I pray you understand that. Hey, survive. Now, let's get our king. How was shot? How shot? Question?
I just realized that's the same as it is on the logo. I just realized it's the same.
You know why? I'll tell you why. Because Christ is in the Israelite school of universal practical knowledge. That's why you see it. And that's why the precept is, you know what I mean, what Christ said was bound unto heaven, is bound unto earth also. Gotta understand, man. The Israelite school of UPK goes back further than 1969. Like Christ and the disciples was out at UPK. They were the only ones that were in the truth. Like Christ had to raise up 12 regular brothers. So you're telling me, right? I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you know that. You're telling me, right, that when Christ walked the earth, all of those scholars that was out there, that was in the synagogues, that was out there in those chief houses, that was out there in the temple, it's a lot of you use the synagogue. But nah, because here's the thing. Right then, back then, the Sadducees and the Pharisees, you was worshiping your father, the devil, the chief house of Satan. So you was damn sure in there. You wasn't supposed to be. You're supposed to be following Christ. Everybody claims to follow Christ, but they don't. That's why school of UPK, we do. I pray you understand. Christ had to raise up 12 brothers. 12 brothers that followed him, man. That followed him. Judas ended up falling out the truth, you know what I mean? Christ ended up raising up Paul. Them 12 brothers rock and roll, man. Rock and rolled it, man. That's why the scripture says, too, man, in 2 Thessalonians, get that. Give me 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 15. Yeah, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 17. But this is what we need to understand as the Lord shows the people and how important, you know what I mean, these scriptures are. How important it is to come back into this truth, man. We gotta remember, like the scripture says, Deuteronomy, remember the days of old. Like we cannot forget about, the sacrifice that our King gave us to even come back in this truth. If you even know a Hebrew word, you have to thank Christ for it. If you know what tribe you are, you have to thank Christ for it. If you know, if you know that you are the children of Israel, Black, Latinos, and Native American Indians, you know that the Jews are black, thank Christ. Because Christ ain't died on that cross, man. And now y'all Christians rocking that cross killed me, man. So Christ was shot, you rocking them? He was shot, man. Christ was shot with a ruler bars all. They didn't wear rulers around their neck. So you wear the Glock. See how idiotic and stupid that is and how it sounds. That's how dumb you Christians are. Understand that, man. Understand that. Christ ain't died for you to continue to be in that church and that Muslim mosque. Christ died so you can come into the eyes, you can carry the commandment to the eye. Read what you got. 2 Thessalonians. Come on, let's read 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 15. And this is what we need to realize, man. The contributions, man, like the chief high priest made, man. Abba Bibbins, from Abba Bibbins down to the 7 heads, down to Commander Johanna, to these generals and these captains and these officers, putting in countless work, man. The troops reading that camp, man. The sisters, making the food and making sure the brothers got what they need, and these babies, man, coming up in this truth is essential. We all owe it to our King, man. We all owe it to our King. Don't you owe it to our King to come back to our identity? Don't you owe it to Yahweh Shah Mashiach to come back to your identity? To stop smoking weed, to stop beating shrimp, crab, pork, and lobster, and being a homosexual? Does he not deserve that? That's the least we can do, boys, though. Is flip the weed. The least you can do, you know what I mean, is flip the pork. Stop going over Jeffrey Dahmer's house. Like, goddamn. Like, dang. Like, niggas gotta get eaten, boys, though. Niggas gotta get eaten to realize that homosexuality is wrong. Thank Christ for this truth, man. Right. Thank Christ for it. Because without Christ, man, we would never win. That's why our God, man, Yahweh, and the mercy of our God is his greatest attribute, man. Our power is so merciful. He sent our King to die so we can come back to him, man. We owe it to the Most High. We owe it to our King, man, to come back in this truth. And that's why we have to do this. 2 Thessalonians, amen. You're going to read it too, warrior. You are going to read it. You are going to read it. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 15. I got all the time in the world. Yeah, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 15. Yeah. We get on the board. Check to see if we got questions. The book of 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 in verse 15. Because what's heavy about it, as Blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, this is why it's important, man. Do what we got to do. Come back into this truth. Because if we don't, we're going to be lost out there in the world. We're going to be too lost. No sweat. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 15. Read it for me, brother, for sure.
Chapter 2, verse what?
2 Thessalonians 2 and verse 15. I'll read that.
Okay. The book of Thessalonians, chapter 2, verse 15. Therefore, brethren, stand fast.
Therefore, brethren, read it again.
Therefore, brethren, stand fast.
Therefore, brethren, stand fast, meaning stand strong. As Blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, we have to stand strong. Meaning stand fast. That's what stand fast means. Read on.
And hold the traditions.
And uphold the traditions. What are the traditions? The traditions are what we've been taught, man. What we learned. Not just, you know what I mean, from before time, but from Adam, all the way down to Moses, down to Joshua, down, you know what I mean, to Malachi, down to Jeremiah, Isaiah, down to Christ, down to Peter, John, Paul, Bartholomew, Thomas, and other disciples that was running, man. Down, you know what I mean, the Abba Bibbins, Now it's the 7 heads, man, the chief high priest, the commanding general Yohanan, to uphold these traditions. And this is something that I know all of you fake Israelites can never answer, man. You can never answer that because you dropped your sword a long time ago to go be a glorified Christian with fringes on your t-shirt. Looking gay. Looking real homosexual. You're not upholding the traditions because we've been upholding these traditions since 1969. It is to stand fast. You got to stand strong in this truth, man. When adversity comes, right, you want to find out, man. And y'all found out right now. Especially those, you know what I mean, that we just went to that Hebrew Academy for the blood of my brother. And every brother that went through it before us. You'll know, you know what I mean, a friend cannot be known in prosperity, but in adversity. You mean to tell me in hard times you gonna run? When hard times come, you gonna stay home? You going through depression, huh? You got anxiety. You going through it. Demons is talking to you, huh? You think your brothers ain't going through the same thing? But we know through this truth and standing fast and upholding the traditions through this brotherhood, man, that you will battle your demons and defeat them together. You stay home, you're going to wallow in your own sorrow. Next thing you know, you're going to have a dress on. Talk about, I got fringes on my t-shirt, Barzone. Sashay. Oh, I wear a shaper, you know what I mean, because my woman want me to. How gay is that? Meaning you going to transgress God's laws to please your woman? Listen, that's why the Lord made a point. We got to stand fast, stand strong, and uphold these traditions. Keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments. Holding these traditions, what we've been taught, man, from the times of Adam down to the prophets, man, down to Moses, you know what I mean, down to Isaiah, Jeremiah, to Ezekiel, to Daniel, you know what I mean, to our King, Yahweh Mashiach, all the way down to our Nibbins, man, who was murdered by the Muslims under Malcolm X in Newark, New Jersey. Down to the 7 heads, man, who was long since retired, but given it the commanding general Yohanan, man, and he stayed strong in his truth, upheld him. You know, we rolling with him, General Muhammad, General Mayat, General Hazayan, General Shahbar, General Thumdabar, General Kabbalah, and all these mighty captains and officers, you know what I mean, the troopers hold this down, ancestors. We got to stand fast and uphold the traditions. Real.
God, which ye have been taught, whether by word or our
epistle.
Whether
by word or by epistle. Whether it's been passed down through the word or by epistle. Or what the priests and prophets brought. That's why we got this Bible. Right. That's why it's important to come to these classes and get it done. And stand strong. You're not standing strong at home being an individual. Like, I know, I used to be one of them brothers, man. I'll tell you a funny story that only a few brothers know. I was one of them fake Israelite brothers. I was old Yeshua. I was online doing this right here. Twitter fingers. You know what I mean? And brothers was patient with me too. But then one day, I came to class. And I had to fight myself to come to class too. I had a homie, I ain't gonna say his name. You know what I mean? He's still in the world right now, smoking weed, smoking hookah. You know what I mean? He's an individual like, just like how I was. He had to drag me to class. And I got here, man, and realized this is the home of the truth. And a certain brother texted me, man, on Twitter and told me, man, to keep coming to class. That the Lord is calling you home. And I'll never forget it, man. I'll never forget that, man. The water bars on the cup. The water, man. Brother told me to keep coming to class. That brother there told me to keep coming. I did. I'm sorry, bro. Rocking by y'all while y'all was shy, man. And what is heavy about it, man, that's brotherhood. That's brotherhood. And y'all don't understand that. Because a lot of y'all rather sit at home because it's easy to be an individual like in secret. It's easy to put on that purple dress, you know what I mean, and claim and get your shape ups to make your woman happy. It's a hard thing to uphold these traditions. It's a hard thing to stand fast and stand strong. It's all right. We gonna do it. That's why I, Isupk, we ain't affiliated with nobody else. We do what Christ said to do, man. That was an excellent question. I appreciate it. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. I'll get it. Where the time go, boy? I thought I had 30 minutes. It's a lot. Thought I had to leave 30 minutes. All right. Give you a few more words about the show. I'll write a few more words up on the board. Oh. No, you do. That's right. Now, this word right here means power, the power. Allahai. This is where Muslims get mistaken. When they be talking about Allah. This word means power. So when you read, you know what I mean, in the Old Testament, you know, the so-called Old Testament, you read that Hebrew, you see Allahai, you know, it's power, which is God. Meaning Allahai is the power, meaning the God. That's all Allahai is God. And when the Lord said, you know what I mean, Allahai, when Allahai is mentioned, it's talking about the power of God to angels. Like, people don't understand this. This is probably for a different advanced class. But Christ was that angel that formed the entire earth. That formed it. Him and the other angels. And Christ was that lead angel that did it. The Allahai. But Muslims wanted to copy us. Drop behind and just put Allah. Some Allah means God, but it's Allahayah. The Ah and the La and the Ha are singular, and the Yum is connected. You know what I'm saying? Get that? Oh, go ahead.
If I could also not only did the
You're learning. You're learning. Got a question up?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So why didn't they copy us then?
Why did they copy us? Because we are, as far as all, give me a precept where Christ said, "You're the salt of the earth." Get that. I'll tell you why. Why do you think? Why do Anna, the so-called Japanese, why do they copy Isupk Mexican Cholo culture? Same reason. Why does the oppressor call himself a Jew? Why do, you know what I mean? Why is the oppressor, first of all, I'll be a better. I saw this little show before I was on TikTok. Why do the Koreans season and double fry their chicken hard? Yeah, simple. I'll tell you what. You got it, bro?
Yeah, come on. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 5, and verse 13.
Go ahead.
Ye are the salt of the earth.
You're what?
The salt of the
We
earth.
are the salt of the earth, man. Christ is saying we got flavor. We are the salt of the earth. We are the greatest people walking on the planet right now, man. We are. And everybody wants to be us, man. But they can't. They can't. They wish they could be that fly. That's why the Japanese try to copy this car, man, trying to get down with Cholo culture. Why do you think they try to copy, you know what I mean, the so-called black man? Why do you listen? The oppressor saw us wear our hat backwards out and was like, they went bananas for that. Like the oppressor seeing us with a bandana on is like singing London Bridge falling down to a baby. Your child is going to lose their mind because of how cool it is and how it sounds to them. This is how basic us wearing. I'll give you an example. My Mitri. This right here is something that is regal, man. Something that is very priestly. And you see the East Indians with it. You see the Arabs with it, but they had this cover looking dusty, by the way. That corny fabric they got. It can never look as fly as the Mitri or the garment made by priest and officer of 5,000 Marah, by the way. My big brother. Could never look as fly as Marah do on Fridays. Could never look as fly as myself, you know what I mean? You know what I mean, wearing these priestly garments and these Mitris, man. But they try, because we are the salt of the earth. And they try it. They try it. It's flattering. And listen, that's why when you come back to your own culture, you realize how corny their culture is. A lot of y'all brothers be talking about, listen, a lot of y'all simple brothers and sisters, y'all like that anime. I like anime too. But y'all be wanting to become anime characters. You be wanting to become Japanese and Chinese. Forget that, man. Forget that. Y'all, and some of y'all brothers out there, y'all know who we all are. Talking about, oh, Bruce Lee was this great fighter. Bruce Lee, he did this, he did that. Bruce Lee got his ass whooped by a nigga named Victor Moore. And they done misconstrued to try to edit that footage to try to not show it because the brother put him down. Why? Because that brother Victor Moore was the salt of the earth. What is Jet Kune do? What is whatever type of kung flu to Yai Kara? Hands of war. You're going to find out about that. Gonna find out about that. Listen, man, one of David's brothers slew 2 lion-like men of Moab. Let me tell you what that means. Pick the baddest 2 Chinese cats you could find. Like take Bruce Lee, take Jet Li, take Jackie Chan, and then put them up against Barzal and Call. 2 minutes, them little mobiles gonna be dead. They're gonna be out of here. Put them up against Ibad Hayat, the Terminator. Put them up against Ibad Hayat and Kaladazar, the Terminator and the Predator. I pray you understand, man. Because we are the salt of the earth. There's nothing great about these other nations. Bruce Lee was a Chinese Steven Seagal. He made okay movies. He was an actor, a star. Where Israel, the common nigga is a superstar to every heathen. The common sister is glamorous and fabulous and beautiful to every heathen woman. Because we are the greatest people on this earth. We're the salt of the earth. Not because we're the strongest, the baddest, the fastest, and the smartest, which we are. But it's because our God chose us to be that holy, special, peculiar people. With that being said, man, this was the Lashawan Qadash class. I'm preaching numbers of 1,000 your diet. Now, I want to take the water, everybody tuning in. Make sure y'all tune in to Command Journey Johanna every Monday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Black Watch News, Command Journey Johanna drop it so heavy. Tune in to Ask You the Prophets every Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. 12 Children of Jeremiah drop it down heavy. 12 Children of Hazayan on Monday, man. Let a Hebrew speak. Or if not 12 Children of Hazayan, 6 Children of Bar, or Priest numbers of 5,000 Marah, or Priest numbers of 500 like Y'all hold it down, man. Tune to Cross Line Radio every Thursday. You know what I mean? From 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. And tune in to my big brothers, man. Priest Academy 13 Stacks to Doll, Priest Academy 10,000. I mean, Chroma Hall, Priest numbers of 5,000, Double One, and listen, Priest numbers of 1,000, Karatazar, numbers of 500, Malakman, man. That One West Radio, man, on the West Coast coming up strong, man. Coming up real strong. And with that being said, I'm a pastor class off the preaching and officer of 1,000 bars on the cut.
The priest and officer of 1,000. That's a lot. I don't want your diet or more hand teaching the power class, holding it down for Officer Marah. It's the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge or SLAC. The ISUPK security announcements. We got the ISUPK started out 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander General Yohana. Role for new brother and sister. When a new brother and sister comes into the school, they're all women for 6 months. They're to be saluted only. They are here to share themselves with the world. If the brother and sister need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother and sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Ties, which is a commandment, read about it in the book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21. Also the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verses 8 through 10. Ma'ashra means 10% in Hebrew. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Get to the Treasury Department, priest fund, free will offering for the priest, not mandatory. Wherever so amount you would like to give of the common holy convocation will be Slakia. The feast of dedication of Slakia, the closing of the Feast of Tabernacles. We did pass that.
Hanukkah.
Yeah, Feast of Dedication, Hanukkah, the 25th day of the 9th month, by the space of 8 days. So it will fall for 8 days, which would be from Saturday 17th all the way until, the 8 days from there would be technically 22, 20th, 22nd. Am I mistaken? 18.
Yeah, it'd be December 26th. It'd be the 17th. So the 8th day would be,
5th, I believe.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, 25th. Most High in Christ. So for 8 days straight, you know, the Hanukkah we celebrated will be the 17th until 25th of December. You'll read about that in the book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 4, verses 50 through 52, and 61. For my Akim and Aqua, check the bulletin board in the hallway. If any brother wants to be a trooper in the school, start to wear a black boot, shirt, pants, headband, and scarf. With that, Imagine, which means to stand. Men of Israel, we're going to get a brothers a courteous salute. Men of Israel, Imagine Shabbat, Imagine Barak.
Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shabbat.
Yeah, it's the time to be hands down. Sorry. It seems to turn to face the sisters at this point in time with Imagine, which means to stand. Sister, your Imagine Shabbat will be with your feet at a 45-degree angle. The right hand clasped over your left. And when we say Barak with an open hand, smite your chest and say the salute back to the brothers. Men of Israel, we're going to get the sisters a courteous salute. Men of Israel, Imagine Shabbat, Imagine Barak.
Yahweh Shamar Al-Khan Ba'ashem Yahweh Shabbat.
Y'all, it's the time. Put your hands down. Class dismissed.